Hi everyone, it's Lynn Dion here from Pink Whisper Designs. Today I want to show you a really fun brand new release from Art Impressions. It's called the Snowman Pop-up. So let's go ahead and get started. For cardstock, I'm going to be using the Spectrum Noir Ultra Smooth Premium White cardstock. This is a 100-pound weight. And then these are the stamps that we're using today. This set is the Art Impressions Snowman Pop-up Set, and this is a brand new set, and you get the coordinating dies as well. So what I'm going to do here is go ahead and line up this pop-up die on my little snowman. This is going to give us all the scores and fold lines to create the pop-up. I've run that through the die cutting machine, and you can see we have all these little pieces here. So now for the coloring, I'm going to be using the Spectrum Noir. This is the bright pink blend, and these are the tri-blend markers, so you get a light, medium, and a dark color on the one marker. So as always, I'm going to start with that lighter color. Now the lighter color is on one end of the pen, the medium color is in the center of the pen, and then you flip it around, and that would be the darkest end. And I'm just going to add a little bit of that here. Then I go back to the light end and blend that out. So I'm just going to show you how I colored in the snowman today. We are going to be doing a few more items later on, but I'm just going to show the coloring for the little snowman because the focus is on him and the little pop-up creation that we have today. So I did want to point out that this new pop-up collection has several different pop-ups. One of them is the bunny pop-up, and with that pop-up you get a couple of sentiments. You get I love you and hugs, you get a heart, a bow, and a rose that you can use to do the accessorizing. It's really cute. It'd be great for Valentine's Day or also for Easter as well. The sloth pop-up is the next one I want to talk to you about. It's really cute. He's got these little arms, and he can, when his arms pop up, he can be holding a banner. He also has a little party hat, and there's two sentiments that come with the sloth. One is let's hang out, and the other one is slothsome, which is really cute. So that one is also really adorable. Now the glamour pop-up I recently did in a video. On November 11th, I released a video on this, which is on the Art Impressions blog and also on my blog as well, which I will link below. And in that set, we had two sentiments. One said, "Hello, fabulous," and the other one was, "Happy birthday." And there were two different kinds of flowers and a little bracelet accessory, which is really cute because it goes on her arm, and when it pops up, the bracelet is kind of loose on her arm, so that's really cute. So she's another really good one. So again, check out that video that I did on that one. And then the last one I want to tell you about is the giraffe pop-up, and he is just adorable. He also has a couple of sentiments, and one says, "Here's to you," and the other one says, "Cheers." And that's because you can put in his hand either a cup of coffee or a wine glass. So that is really sweet. I love that one. So, and also on the Art Impressions blog, several of the designers have done some artwork with these pop-ups, and you should go check that out because they've done some really fantastic work. So I had switched pens here to the ice gray shades, and this is just the darker palette of the ice gray. So you get the ice gray blends and the shades. So the shades are always going to be the darker tones. So that just extends out the color palette a little bit further, so you get a little bit more of the darker shades. Now here I'm using the Coral Blends just to do his nose a little bit here, just adding a little shading there. And also, I'm going to go back to that ice gray shade and do the buttons on his jacket. The next marker I'll be using is the Blue Turquoise blend. I'm going to be using this color for the scarf. And you can see the scarf is in two sections here. You have the little tassel part here, and then the part that's around his neck. And this piece is separate because it's also going to pop up when we open the card. So I'm adding a little shadowing here and blending that out, and then I'm going to go and do the same thing for the little portion of it that's around his neck. So when we fold him to create the pop-up, this will be on one side of the fold, and I will show you that here in a minute. So I also use this same color to color in the little mittens as well. And I'm keeping the darker shades down towards the bottom of the mitten and a little bit in the fold there. Now I'm going to take my BGR1 and my blender. These are the regular Spectrum Noir markers. I don't have the BG color in my tri-blend markers. So I'm adding a little bit of a shadow here, just using my blender just to kind of spread that ink out just a little bit, just to create a little shadow here where the jacket is and up underneath the jacket there. And I'm going to do the same thing up around his face. Now I'm going to the pale pink blend and putting a little of the lightest color on his cheeks here. And I'm just using that blender just to blend that out a little bit. So the next image I'm going to take is that one right there in the center. These cute little houses. This is from the Suburb Trifold set. I've stamped it on some Spectrum Noir paper, and I'm using my Spectrum Noir Black to do the stamping. And I'm going to cut this out, just leaving a little white border all the way around, so I'm not being fussy at all. And the next set after that will be the garden set. This is the Holiday Mansion garden set. And we're going to be using the little bird houses. So I've grabbed the coordinating die and I'm going to run that through my Sizzix Sidekick machine. And now we have all the little pieces we needed. And again, I did color those in off camera just to save some time. So now we're creating the little snowy banks. So these are 4 1/4 by about 2 inches. And what I'm doing is just tearing them towards me and away from me. And that's going to give us a nice ruffled edge for the look of a snowbank here. So I'm just I have 2 of those panels, so I'm doing one on each side. This is the inside of the card. But first I want to create the sky. So I've got my standard A2 size card and my snowbanks. Now I do want to create the sky. And the paper I use for the card is the Strathmore Bristol Smooth 100-pound cardstock. For inks, I'm going to be using Peacock Feathers, Mermaid Lagoon, and Chip Sapphire. These are the Distress Oxide inks. So I'm going to start off with the Peacock Feathers. And I just want to figure out about where that sky needs to begin. You will see later on I am going to add another snowbank. I just thought it needed to go up a little bit higher, but I'll show you the process here. So I use the Peacock Feathers and then I switch to the Mermaid Lagoon and I'm just adding a nice coating of that down towards the bottom here. And then I'm going to go to the Chip Sapphire, and that's going to give us a nice shadow right along that snowbank. Here I'm just blending those two out a little bit, going to the Chip Sapphire and adding a nice shadow down here at the bottom. Now I'll just go in reverse order here and blend these out. So I'm going to the Mermaid Lagoon and blending up into the Peacock Feathers, and then I'm taking the Peacock Feathers applicator and just blending this all in together here. And that's going to give us a nice shadow there. Now here's where I decided to add another bit of a border, a snowy border here. So this is probably about 3 inches high and again 4 1/4 inches wide, and I have 2 of these panels, and that's going to sit right up there just so I wanted my house to have a little snowbank to sit on. So now you can see that'll just bring up that snow just a little bit further, maybe about halfway up the card. And now I'm just kind of laying things out again just to make sure I like that. Now here's where I noticed that I didn't have enough of a shadow now that I raised that snowbank up. So I'm just going to go back to my ink pads and blend those out a little bit more. So I'm going to set that aside for now and work on the front of the card. I'm taking the second largest rectangle from this die set, and this is the Art Impressions Rectangle A2 double stitch dies. So that's going to give us a nice stitch border all the way around, and I did die cut 2 of these. And I'm going to tear these in both directions again to create a little snowbank for the front of the card. And that'll sit right at the bottom of that other panel. Now I do need to create the sky again for this panel, so I went ahead and did that off camera. I'm going to spray this with a little bit of water from my Distress sprayer and just pat that up with a paper towel, and that's going to give us a nice snowy effect on the background. I'm going to do the same exact thing for the inside of the card as well. The other thing I want to do to add a little bit more snow is I'm taking some white gesso. I'm mixing it with a little bit of water from my Distress sprayer, and I'm going to spatter that panel and the inside of the card. And again, that's going to give us a beautiful snowy look. So I went ahead and did the inside. Now going back to this front, I want to add my little bird houses here. So I'm using my Nuvo Deluxe adhesive. This is a really strong adhesive. I'm going to tuck these little bird houses right behind that snowbank. And then I can go ahead and attach this. The sentiment I'm using is also from this same Stampin' Die set, and I'm going to go ahead and pop this up with a little bit of foam mounting tape, and this says Hello Snow, and I'm going to place that in the upper right hand corner of this panel. I've also got the berries and leaves from this same stamp set. I'm going to pop up the side of it just to get it to lay flush with the sentiment here, and I'm adding a little glue to the underneath the berries there. And then I want to also add my little cardinal, and I'm going to pop him up as well. So again, that's going to sit on the front side of the card. I'm going to tape this down using my ATG 700 permanent tape dispenser. And this is a really strong adhesive. I'm just centering that on the front of the card. Now we can get working on the inside here. So again, I want to grab those snowbanks that we've created, and I'm going to glue those in place. Now again, this little house is going to sit right on top of that snowbank. So I'm tucking half of it underneath the snowbank or behind the snowbank and the other half in the front of the snowbank. And it'll really look like it's buried in snow here. And I should mention that this particular house is not from a winter collection. It actually is more of a summery house. But the way I'm going to do this is to not color in the leaves green. I'm going to leave them white so they'll just look like they're covered in snow. So again, take a look at the images that you have and just use them in another way. There are sets available that do have snowy scenes in them though, so you could also take a look at those too. But I thought this would work just fine. So now here I'm just finishing up attaching a couple little birdhouses on the inside of the card and my little cardinal here as well. Now we've got the snowman ready to pop him up. So I want to show you how I folded this. And again, the scores are right on the image. When you die cut it, you get the score lines. So I'm folding it back in half at first, then I'm folding up these two little tabs towards me. Now I'm going to grab the whole thing and fold it away from me. And then you want to work the little arms in a little bit here. So it takes a little bit of manipulating the paper here to kind of fold these in. You're going to push this forward and fold these in. It's going to create a little triangle fold right there on the two sides. So again, you're going to fold it back on that line in the middle. Then you're going to fold these two little tabs up. Then you're going to fold this line that goes straight across back away from you. Now you want to kind of manipulate the little arms forward, just kind of keep pressing there and it'll kind of collapse in on itself. And then you just push your fingers forward too, and that'll kind of push that little area forward. And then you want to make sure you press it out really well. Now here's where I'm going to place the glue, just on that bottom score line down. So you want to just apply the glue from that score line down towards the bottom. And this is the part that's going to get attached to the card. So this will create the little pop-up here. So I want to make sure I have plenty of glue, and I also want to make sure that I use my fingers to kind of press that right into place, making sure that it goes right up to that score line and all the way down to the bottom here. Now I can center that. I want to center that on the fold of my card, and I also want to make sure the top is centered on the fold of my card as well. So I'm looking to make sure that score at the top is lined up with my card. And then I can just fold that in. So using my bone folder, I'm going to press that little tab right into place here, both of these. Make sure they're really secured well, and then I can go ahead and fold this up. As I said earlier, you could also put this little snowman a little higher up on the inside of your card, and it'll pop right up over the top of the card. Now I have that little piece to the scarf, so you can place it on either the left or the right side. You just don't want to glue it to the fold itself. So I'm going to place it off to the left side here, and you'll see that it sticks over just a little bit, but that's okay. Once the card folds, it'll lay nice and flat. Now using my Uniball Signo white gel pen, I'm going to add some highlights here, just here and there. And this just adds a little bit of interest here to the card. And I could have done this while the little snowman was flat. So if you want to, you can do this while it's not attached to the card. But I found it pretty simple to do. So now what I want to do is create a little reinforcer for the side of my card. Because I did use such a heavyweight cardstock, the inside is a little bit bulky. So I don't want the card to split on the crease. So I'm creating this little reinforcer. This panel measures 1 inch by 5.5 inches, and I'm going to score it in 3 places, at 3/8 of an inch, 1/2 inch, and 5/8 of an inch. And that's going to fold on those 3 little score lines. So I'm going to go ahead and use my bone folder and just press out those creases. And you can see that's just going to create a little reinforcement for the side of my card. So I'm going to add a little tape here. Now you don't need to do this. I just thought it would just add a little more stability here. So I'm using my 1/4 inch score tape, and I'm going to place it on each side, right up to that score line on both sides. And it fits perfectly in there, the 1/4 inch score tape does. And I'm just going to snip away any excess here. And you can see that there. So now I'm going to go ahead and remove the tape, and that's going to get attached right to the side of my card here. Again, just creating that little reinforcement. If you feel that and you can see that I've already placed mine on the card. So I've just positioned it right up against that front panel and wrapped it around towards the back. And that just adds a little stability here. And then what I thought I would do is just add a little bit of ink around the edges. And I'm using the peacock feathers just to add a little shadow around the edges there. So I'm going to add a little sparkle using my Nuvo Aqua Shimmer Glitter Gloss pen, and I'm just adding it here and there, just again to add a little bit of clear sparkle to everything here. I'll give you a closer look at the card. Now, because I did use that heavyweight paper for my pop-up, the card is a little bit thicker. Again, we added that reinforcement. And here again, I wanted to point out that those trees, I just left them white so that they would look like they were covered in snow. So again, kind of think of your images a little bit different. And so in the end here, what I did to close this is I'm going to take a little bit of baker's twine and I'm going to wrap that right around the card just to, because we had that little extra bulk in the middle. So I'm just going to wrap that around a couple of times and tie a bow there. So that's our project for today. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please hit the like button and subscribe. And don't forget to visit me at pinkwhisperdesigns.com. As always, thank you so much and have a great day. Bye-bye.